Welcome to Read or Delete, a new series on my channel where I'm going to be tackling my digital TBR. I actually own more audiobooks and ebooks than I do physical books, and it's one of those object permanence situations where I don't actively see it, so it doesn't exist. I don't think about it, and they just keep collecting and collecting and collecting. I get some books sent to me by publishers. I am part of some influencer programs. I love a good sale, so I am always collecting digital books. Now, these are mostly going to be audiobooks because that is mostly what I am getting, but in this series I will be reading my books from Libro FM, Audible, and my Kindle. I think because I have more audiobooks, my plan is to read 2 audiobooks and then 1 Kindle book to have 3 books in each video. I'm really excited to be finally tackling this. It has been intimidating me and just becoming more of a thing that I've been aware of, so I want to get some of these books read. So we are going to start with my books on Libro FM. I love the service. It is the one that I actively pay for credits for and things. It is paused right now because I have been on top of requesting things from my library before they come out. So you can see I have a lot of books. 206 total, but 134 of them are unfinished. So I'm just gonna go into the unfinished ones and I'm gonna scroll and just stop wherever I feel. My eyes will be closed while I do this, but I want this to be the focus. So what if I just get to the bottom? I'm going to read, what is this one? The Last Trip by Kirsten Modglen. This is a thriller. It's pretty short. One last trip before the baby gets here. That's all the getaway is meant to be. Then the guests arrive. So we are following this couple who are going on a baby moon in a remote cabin in the snowy mountains before their kid is due. They get news before they leave, and then they get to the rental and there's strange behavior from the homeowners. And our main character, Sadie, feels like she is being watched. This is a really quick one. I think this will be fine. It's going to get me to prioritize books that I never think about, and I need that. Hello. I am going to a concert tonight, so I am driving to my parents' house to meet up with my sister, and I stopped to get some snacks. I have made it 53% into The Last Trip by Kirsten Modglen. I have read probably 5 or 6 books from her previously. I just find her writing so compelling. There's something very readable about it. So in this, we are following this couple and they are about to have a baby and they are going on a baby moon, this last trip together before really their whole life changes, and they just want to spend some time together. The thing is, at the very, very beginning, the husband comes home and is like, I don't think we should go anymore. And she's like, excuse you, we're still going. Like, this is the last time we can really do something like this. And he's like, well, the thing is, I was just contacted by somebody and I am her father. So this 25-year-old woman has contacted him saying that he is the father with his high school relationship that he had, and they ended things because he was going away to college. And she had tried to contact him a couple times and he's like, I don't want to talk. I don't want really any part of this anymore. So he finds out about her after the woman has died and now the daughter is contacting him. So we are in Sadie's perspective and she is very thrown off by this. She has not been with Calvin for super long, but they unexpectedly are having a kid and their relationship is really good and he didn't do anything wrong. This was a very old relationship. He is older than her, 12 years, so there is an age gap, and there was like obviously this time where he was dating somebody before her. It's not any sort of like real issue, but it still brings up a lot of things. So they decide to go on this trip anyway because she really wants to. At first it seems like it's really nice, it'll be a great time, but they get there and this couple that owns the place shows up, and it was supposed to be a self-check-in, and they are just like asking questions coming in like, did you look at how the microwave works? Do you need help with it? Do you have enough food? Do you want to come over for dinner? And they're like, no, this is really weird and they finally get this couple to go out, and they just have these really weird experiences with them. Sadie thinks she sees them outside after they are told, like, we're good, you can leave. So there's that, like, just, like, weird vibe. Oh, somebody just walked by and it scared me. Creepy old people, don't like it. Isolation with that as well. It has been snowing. And then Sadie decides to invite Calvin's daughter to have lunch with them. She doesn't want her to know where their house is, and she's like, yeah, I'm gonna give up a part of my vacation, but then she can't just like show up where we actually live. So they do that, and the daughter, Janelle, shows up, and Sadie immediately is like, why are you here? Because she has some sort of connection to her. We don't know what it is because Sadie gets her to leave pretty quickly because the old people show up again. So there's all that. Those chapters are called Her Now. And then we are also getting Him Past. And it is, we are assuming Calvin when he is a professor, possibly starting his relationship with Sadie. Either way, he is creepy. He's very obsessive. He is not willing to take no for an answer. He thinks he knows what is best. Names aren't used, but there are signs that it could be Calvin and Sadie, but it could be Calvin and someone else. It could be someone else and Sadie. Like, it could be, I don't know. I don't know. So there are lots of options. We're being led to think one thing, so I think it's probably not that, because that's just like how these kinds of books go. But like, this guy is gross and just like weird vibes all around. This whole thing is just making me feel very unsettled, and I think it's a good domestic kind of thriller for me because the problems aren't specifically between them as a couple. Like, they have problems, but the problem isn't that they need to just break up. The perspective in like him in the past kind of reminds me of you as well, so there's that. It's getting hot. My battery is about to die. It's really hot in here. I'm overheating my camera. I'm going to finish the drive, and I don't think I'll quite be able to finish this audiobook in that time, but I'm having a really good time with it. Hello, I have finished my book. Sorry I'm out of frame if I sit up, so I'm just gonna slouch because I don't feel like adjusting things. I'm not at my house. I am at Monica's house, and we are going to a concert tomorrow, so I finished my book. Oh my god. Your cat is just over there, but his glowing eyes scared me. Anyway, I finished my book. I was not expecting the things that happened to happen. I think Kirsten Modulin is really good at setting something up and surprising you with where the book ends up going, even if you think that you initially have it all figured out yourself. I think I'm going to rate it 4 stars. It's not my favorite that I've read from her, but it's not my least favorite. I really can't tell you anything else about it because it's so short, and a lot of it is like one of those things where there's a shift, and I can't discuss any of that without spoiling like a very big moment in it. So I think this one was fun. There's discussion on having children in here, so if that bothers you, and like just different aspects of that. Do you have Christmas lights up? I just got so distracted by everything. Incredible. So yeah, that is how that went. I enjoyed it. It's a very easy, quick read. It's one that if you're interested in it already, and if you like domestic thrillers that don't feel like just this couple fighting, I would recommend it. Super short, easy to get through. Oh, I didn't even realize you were right there. Hello, you were so cute. You were so cute. Okay, so I do have to pick my next audiobook, and the first one I picked just randomly scrolling through. This one I've given control to Monica. She's happy dancing over there, and I'm a little scared actually. So she's scrolling through the like 132 books that I have on Libro FM, and she gets to pick something, and yeah, so whenever she's done and has picked something, she can tell you what that will be, but I'm a little scared. She's giggling over there. Oh, rude.
I have all the power, and I'm so excited that Lexi asked me to pick this book because she has so many good options, and honestly, I had a really hard time picking. There were some really solid books that I have read before, authors that I've read and loved, and others that I have no idea what they are, but the options were endless. and I landed on just one that I think is going to be hopefully really good. It's one that I haven't read yet, but I am really excited for. So I am going to make Lexi read Death of the Author by Nnedi Okorafor. This book is going to be featured at one of the festivals that we're going to be attending. So the author's going to be there. We can get our book signed. And I think this is the perfect time for Lexi to read this book ahead of time to know if she wants to get her book personalized and to go and meet the author. So, Lexi, have fun with Death of the Author.
I have a lot to chat to you about. I also have Winston here, so he's just so cute and tiny. I am home now. I had a very, very, very busy weekend. I saw T-Pain in concert on Saturday with my sister. I had to drive like an hour and a half to get to my sister, and then the concert was about an hour away. Then we drove back Saturday night. Sunday, I drove, it's about 45-50 minutes from my parents' house to Monica's house. So I drove there on Sunday. We hung out for a little bit. Monday morning, we drove 3 hours to Newark, New Jersey, took a train into New York City, walked around. I got blisters on my feet, a heat rash. It was too hot. It was disgusting. But then we saw Role Model and Gracie Abrams on Monday night. Natalie Portman was there on stage dancing for a little bit with Role Model. It was this whole thing. It was so much fun. Both of the concerts were incredible. Both were really great performers in very different ways, very different kinds of music, very different artists, but ones that I really enjoy, both of them. So, I had a lot of fun. It was just exhausting. I was able to finish my first book, obviously, and then on the way home yesterday from Monica's, which was 2 hours, I did start her pick of Death of the Author by Nnedi Okorafor. This I got from the Starbright quarterly subscription box. It is a sci-fi box run by Illumicrate. So this is what this edition looks like. The front, the spine, and the back. These are the edges, which I do wish were a little more prominent. So we have the front end papers, which is part of the main part of the book, and then this is a book within a book. So this is our main character, and in it she is writing this book, which we got on the naked hardcover, which I think is just a really cool concept. So here's the front of this, the spine, which does say the actual book, and then the back. And then the back end papers are from that story. So I think that this book is done really well. I think that it is beautiful, and a lot of thought went into this. So I got 90 pages in on my drive, and I'm gonna put the dust jacket back on actually. I am sadly going to be DNFing this one. So this came in a sci-fi box, and I knew that it had to do with like AI, robot kind of things. But this is actually more of a literary fiction book than a sci-fi book. So we're following our main character, Zulu, and she, at the very beginning, is an adjunct professor. She teaches a writing class, and her students are not very respectful, and she ends up kind of telling one of them off, and all the students band together and get her fired. So she has lost her job, and she's kind of like the screw up of her family because she's not a doctor, lawyer, engineer, something that is going to make her tons of money. And within her culture, her parents are like, if you're not doing one of those three things, you're a failure. Our main character is also paraplegic, I believe. She is in a wheelchair, and she can only use her upper body. And I like the discussions on that, the representation with that, the discussion on her family and their culture. She's in Trinidad and Tobago for part of this. Her family is from there. I enjoy seeing all of that, but the way that her family treats her is very frustrating. And I also am finding some of the things just like not engaging, because she at the very beginning has written this book, and it's just kind of a general fiction book, and she's gotten 10 rejections. She lost her job. Like, she doesn't really have any real prospects with this. And she is kind of down on her luck and was like, well, I'm just going to try this, and comes up with this idea for a sci-fi book. She doesn't read sci-fi. She doesn't really know much about sci-fi. She's never written the genre. And then somehow, as soon as she finishes it, everybody loves it with like no editing. It's her first attempt. And she is offered like millions of dollars for her book and to make it a trilogy. And there's a movie that's already in the process of being made pretty much. I think that things are just like a little too unrealistic and moving at a speed that doesn't make sense, and I guess it's just to further the plot. And then also we are getting excerpts of this book within it, and after reading it, there's no part of me that is like, wow, this is the book that would blow up. It is very dry as of this point. There's not really anything that has happened, and I think that that is my main complaint for everything. Really not much has happened so far, and I think that the concept of this literary fiction novel with a sci-fi novel within it is interesting, but it's too literary fiction for my personal reading taste. I really don't think there's anything wrong with this book. I think that if you like literary fiction, you could really enjoy this. I think that this is not for sci-fi readers. It's really for literary fiction readers that are okay with like a little bit of sci-fi. And I also think that part of my problem is that I am learning that the more that I read sci-fi, the things that I like are experiments and like really learning things, being a part of like discovery and things like that, and not specifically just watching events happen. And in this, I feel like we are more so watching events happen within this sci-fi story. So I'm not sucked into that part of this either, getting it through a sci-fi box. I don't know, it's not my favorite. So I am going to be DNFing this one 20% in. I'm a little sad about it, but you know, it's okay. I will be selling this edition, so hopefully somebody that is really interested in this will get it and love it. It is also hand signed. I liked what this book was saying, but the execution just was not my personal favorite. So I'm gonna unbox something with you, and then we're going to pick the book that I will be reading on my Kindle. I have my box from Twisted Retreat. Oh, oh, that's cool. Okay, I don't know if this is a reprint of the dust jacket, or I don't know why it's not on there. I guess it's a reprint. Oh, it's different colors. Okay, anyway, let me get this plastic off and then I can like actually look at it with you. Twisted Retreat is a monthly horror special edition box. They have a book only box, and then they also have a book with items in it. For a while I was getting the one with items, and they do a really good job at like wearable, drinkable, eatable display items. So there's like a mix of things, and it could work really well for different people. There were just too many items that I personally was like, I don't really need this. So I decided to switch to the book only. So this is called Blood Slaves by Marcus Redmond. So this is what this looks like. The front, the spine, and the back. These are the sprayed edges at the top and bottom. And there's also an alternate dust jacket that is the same, but with red foiling. So I have both of these. I kind of think I like the red foiling. I don't know. But they both look the same on like the flaps. And then outside of this, we have the end papers in the front, which are the same in the front and back. And then this is what the naked hardcover looks like. The front, the spine, and the back. I think this is really cool. This is a vampire book. Oh, there's a map in here. And it is signed as well. So that is my Twisted Retreat book that I just got. I think... Oh, I do think I want to put on this red dust jacket. I'm not sure why there's two of them, but that is cool, I guess. Okay, now, sorry, I've been yapping to you for so long. I need to pick my last book. So I have my Kindle, and I think what we're going to do is just do a random number generator and read one of my arcs. I separate mine into categories, so I have 21 arcs that I have. So I just set it to go through 1 through 21, and we will be reading book 16. Yes, so that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, number 16 is The Day He Never Came Home by Andrew DeYoung. This looks to be a thriller, and it came out on July 9th. I think, is this Poison Pen Press? They sent it to me. Yeah, it is Poison Pen Press. Okay. I'm going to get started on this one. I have made it, I believe, 49% in. Will you load? Yes, 49% in. I just got to part 2, which is why I waited till I was halfway into the book to check in. But also, like, at the same time, I don't think I would have really had anything to say until right now. But the problem is, the thing I want to say can't. So in this, we are following this woman. I forget her name. What's new? Also, this did come out, so I'm also listening to the audiobook as well as reading it on my Kindle. So we are following, wait a second. So I'm looking at the little like synopsis on Libby, and it said, perfect for fans of Laura Dave's The Last Thing He Told Me. I couldn't think of the title earlier, but I'm on Patreon Sprints, and I was like, this book reminds me of this Laura Dave book. Don't know what it's called, but the green and yellow one. That is what it's compared to. Both Ponzi scheme books. So, we are following Regan, which bothers me more than it should. I don't know what it is, but it not being Regan just like really messes with something in my brain. So we're following Regan, and at the beginning, she is talking to her husband. They have a lot of problems, but they have 2 kids together, and he is the only one that works, so she doesn't really have a life outside of her family. And they are like seemingly doing okay, but then all of a sudden he is like, you want to go out to breakfast? And she said, sure. So they're driving in their car, and she's like, this is not the way to the restaurant. And they get to this house, this lake house, kind of secluded, obviously on a lake. And he's like, hello, this is the new house. Like, I have been doing really well at work, and I wanted to surprise this with you. And it is going to be just your house. You can come here when you need to relax. Which, like, that seemed like a pretty big house for one woman to just be there every once in a while. But she can do whatever she wants with this place. It's completely in her name. He has nothing to do with it. Nobody really knows about it. So they decide to, claim the house as their own. That is described at the beginning. So, like, it seems like their relationship is decent. They go sign all this paperwork. It's official. So they go home, and he's like, actually, I gotta go into the office for a little bit. And she texts him later and was like, where are you? He doesn't respond, but it's not like out of the picture, no, out of question that he does this. Sometimes it happens. So she wakes up, he's still not there, and she gets a little knock at the door, and it's the FBI. They're like, where's your husband? She's like, I don't know, he didn't come home from work. And they're like, well, guess what? We have a warrant. We're gonna search your house because he's been stealing money from everybody. He was some sort of investment person, and was in a Ponzi scheme. He was stealing money, like lots and lots of money. So yeah, she is just like, well, I have no money then, because she didn't have a job. He doesn't have any family, and she's been kind of like disconnected from hers because they don't like her husband. I don't know, John, I think his name is. Turns out he is part of this like very involved bad guy criminal that the FBI wants to catch. So like her husband is obviously in trouble, but he's not the like main target of this investigation. They also are like, ma'am, do you know any details you need to tell us? And she's like, no, I don't know anything. And we learn about the relationship in the past where he is like saying things that are just very suspicious, like a normal person that is not hiding things wouldn't just say, you know? So there's that, but she just chooses to look the other way and not really think about it too much. Also, turns out his name isn't John. He has not been honest with her about really anything. So she's like, my whole life is a lie. So she has her and her 2 kids and has to figure out what to do. So she has to decide, am I going to work with the FBI? Am I going to cooperate and maybe end up with $0? Or am I going to do this other unhinged thing, but maybe have lots of money and be able to provide for my family? So she has to decide what she's going to do with all of that, and decide how much she wants to know, how much she wants to be involved in. Because to our knowledge, she doesn't actually know any of the details, but she kind of seems to be willing to do whatever it takes to get involved in it. That's everything that's happened so far. That's also all in the synopsis. So let me look. I did not like the last thing he told me. I thought it was kind of boring. I give it 3 stars, so not terrible, I guess. I read it in January of 2022, so it's been a little bit. I think it's okay. I was starting to lose a little bit of interest, but then there's something that happens at the end of part 1, and I was like, oh, okay, where are we going from here? So maybe 3.5 stars at this point. I feel like it's probably my prediction. Not my favorite, not the worst thing, but it's entertaining enough, and this character has made some questionable choices that I think are kind of fun. So I'm going to get to part 3 now, which will be really close to the end, like 45 minutes from the end of the audiobook, so we'll see how that goes. But for not knowing a single thing about this book and just accepting it from the publisher, I'm not mad about this. So this book is really boring. I don't remember, my phone is over there, like 80-85% in. Very, very far. Part 2 ends really close to the end, but I wanted to check in because maybe my thoughts will change in part 3, and I wanted to give you an update now because I'm not liking this. I think it is very boring. So everything we learn about in part 1, we know where we kind of end up, and then in part 2 we're following a completely different character. We are following the husband, the one that is doing all this stuff, figuring out how he got to this situation. And it's really boring. It's just like this guy that decides that this is the path he needs to go on to make money. Like, that's it. And then at the very end, there's a surprise, a reveal, a thing, but I'm like, okay. And because nothing else he did was that interesting. I mean, there are a couple things that I'm like, a human probably should not be doing that. But generally, it's just boring. It's not exciting. I feel like, what is the exciting reason for somebody to be running a Ponzi scheme? Don't know, but this author did not figure it out. I personally don't love books where it's separated into parts and then the only like big thing that happens is at the end of each part. And then especially when we switch, because at the end of part 1 we got something and then it switches and we go back in time and learn about everything leading up to this again. And I'm like, I don't care. And what you're doing isn't interesting enough to ignore everything else that we've read for another 40% of the book. I don't know. I don't like it. I didn't really love this kind of plot in The Last Thing He Told Me either. I do think I liked that one a bit more, but yeah, this one is not very exciting. And I don't need somebody's life story, every decision they've made that leads them to stealing money from people. I don't know. It's just not my preferred kind of plot. So I'm gonna finish it. It's gonna take me just a little bit of time, like 20 minutes to finish the book. I don't know what it could do. The thing is, I would have liked this a lot more if we had stayed in the present day, following our main character, figuring these things out. I didn't need it going back in time and leading up from the guy's perspective. So if she was learning things and processing them and figuring out how to deal with them in the moment and not leading her decisions, I think that could have been interesting. But this setup, this format, the process of getting to this point, not entertaining. I just got back inside. I just spent some time out in my pool. It's like a lounging pool that's kind of a big raft. So not anything very exciting. But I have finished, I actually can never remember what this book is called. The Day He Never Came Home? Why is it such a long title? Okay, yeah, that is correct. So I finished that, so I'm going to tell you about that. But I also just got my Evernight box in the mail. It's really funny because they have this like packing paper that they have, and it was stuffed in my mailbox like this. So it kind of looked like little confetti. So I know what the book is, but I don't know what this one looks like. So this will be my first time seeing it. I know it's not very big. Oh, this is very different than what I was expecting. Interesting. Okay. I actually do really like this initial cover, and it came out with just a sprayed edge. So not as Okay, here is the thing. Why do we only do special edition boxes of books that are already coming out? And by only, I'm being dramatic. That only come out, that already come out with some sort of fancy first edition. I don't understand. Because this one did that. The Buffalo Hunter the Owl Crate did. That was printed with a red sprayed edge to start. The Forbidden Alchemy that Owl Crate did came out with a sprayed edge. It's very frustrating. Anyway, let's look at this real quick. So this is The Library at Hellbore by Cassandra Caw, who I have read from before and given 2.5 stars and then DNF'd. So we'll see how this one goes, but I've actually heard better things about this than her other stuff. So this is the front cover, very shiny, very cool, and here's the spine and the back. Also ignore the fact that all of my fake nails are falling off. This is what the sprayed edge looks like, with the top and the bottom being the same. I like the gold foil on here with the red. Oh, is that blood? There's a floating eyeball. I've heard this book is so gory, so I'm down, you know. Oh, cool. Okay, here is the naked hardcover. Look at this creepy guy, and the spine and the back. I do kind of wish that this went the whole way around or something. I really like when all of this, if you open it, is one thing. Here is, I'm dropping it. Here's the end papers on the front. There is a little floating eyeball somewhere in this region. And then here is the art on the back end papers. This is very interesting. I'm intrigued. I'm very intrigued. And then it is hand signed. A green Sharpie is fun. So yeah, this is the edition of The Library at Hellbore. I do like this. I'm interested to see what Owl Crate does with it, because of course they picked the same book, but I just got this in the mail, so I wanted to show it to you before I ended this video. So the day he never came home or something like that, I'm gonna give it 2 stars. I think that the first part and the last part were interesting, and that is because the first part was following this character that was dealing with all these things happening to her. I did not like the part with the guy learning his backstory and what led up to that. I thought it was boring. I thought that it could have been done in an interesting way, getting it from our female main character's perspective, because she had some very interesting qualities. I think she was just more engaging as a character because she seemed willing to do what she needed to do in a different way than he was doing it. He was kind of whiny about it. His reasoning for doing a lot of things was just annoying. It was just not a good time. But she had a lot of calculated thoughts, and I just really enjoyed her as a character. So the last little part of this just really continues where part 1 ends. And I don't know. I think this book had potential, so I could maybe read from this author again, but I'm not running out of my way to do so. I think it was okay. 2 stars for me is generally just a boring book, but I don't think it was terrible. So that is it for the first episode of Read or Delete. I'm really excited to be getting my digital TBR down and actually focusing on it for once. I have a different series on my channel where I read my physical TBR, so if you want to check that out, I will have that linked. I have a spinner wheel with all of the books that I own, and I read the books that come up for that. So you can check that out if you are interested. If you made it to the end and want to leave me an emoji to say you were here, you can leave me a fish emoji for no reason other than I just thought of it. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope to see you in my next one. Bye.